I think there'll be a point where people lose their jobs and we'll have to restructure things and give people a different reason to take actions to help society move along. But I think we'll get there. We're intelligent.
How far? I mean, do you think that's inevitable?
Yeah.
How far out are we, do you think?
I don't know, because, I mean, the engineer at Google who resigned in fear said he thought that the things were decades down the road were actually weeks down the road. And he regretted working on it for the last 10 years because of the acceleration of AI to teach itself better methods of how to learn faster. So we're talking about exponential intelligence growth on pattern analysis and ability delivery. So, and the danger is the manipulation of the human mind through AI. So we got to stop that. We got to stop the potential for artificial intelligence to influence humans from an emotionally manipulative perspective. We can't have an AI controlling humans. We need an AI to serve humans, and I think there's a way we can do that. I believe that artificial compassion is going to be one of the things that we mandate to program into the system. And like on the way the human mind works and the way the human psyche works, on the limb of our emotional intelligence, there are three branches. There's sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Sympathy is, I know you're in pain. The empathy is your ability to put yourself into somebody else's shoes, and I feel your pain. You remember that speech that Bill Clinton gave? I feel your pain, you know. That's the type of thing where you can identify with somebody else's reactions and somebody else's connections, somebody else's perceptions, and feel the pain that they're experiencing. The compassion comes in, and this is agreed by Thupten Jinpa, who's the right-hand man to the Dalai Lama and the primary translator for the Dalai Lama, who's a PhD in psychology in his own right, is a brilliant guy. He agrees with my perception on this, which is compassion is the first two, sympathy and empathy. I know you're in pain, I can feel you're in pain, and I want to help you out of that pain. Now, from a modeling of a human mind and a processing perspective of having a computer understand how a human mind works and being able to do the math, you can create artificial compassion. Absolutely, you can. By doing the math of the emotional pain that somebody could be in based on their expectation and their preference as compared to their perception, and you can do perception mapping. So it's like, I know how you're gonna react to something versus how somebody else who has similar attachments to you will react to something, which will create your appraisal of it. Like, all that math can be done, and I will know whether or not you're gonna be in pain by this next action that we're going to take, or this next shift in this industry that we're going to take, or this next function that we're going to roll out through AI. I know how that's going to affect you as an individual. If I mandate that I want to help you out of that pain as artificial compassion built into the system, that's going to be your stopgap from an artificial general intelligence taking over the world and never giving it back. Because then you're going to have a computer that has to do the math based on, and I know this is a term that's going to trigger some folks, the greater good, right? But it's not a greater good that's being misused by folks who want you to do the right thing, and they're saying, oh, we're serving the greater good here based on their manipulation of, you know, getting you to try to do something. This is really actually taking into consideration all of humanity and how it's going to affect individuals on a mathematical scale of, you know, you have this decision that you learn in like psychology 101, I guess, which is there's a train on the track and it's going towards 5 babies. And over here you got 20 90-year-olds, and you're standing next to the switch, and you have the decision of whether to switch the track of the train to go run over the 90-year-olds or let it run over the 5 babies. And you know, you could say, well, I'm not going to make a decision on that. You're making a decision not to take action, and you're going to kill the babies, period. There's no getting out of this. People like to say, oh, I'm not going to be a part of this or whatever. You have a decision, and those are decisions of judgment that based on a greater good. So whatever your decision is fine. Like, you don't want to kill the 20 people versus the 5 people, even though the age difference or whatever, or you may have the reasoning that, well, these are babies and they haven't lived their life yet, and what about the potential there? And these people are all done with their lives. So then you switch the track, and the train kills the 20 older people. That type of math will be done from an artificial intelligence standpoint.
This is math?
Yeah.
How can you put this into math?
By understanding the potential for value of the effects of 5 young kids versus 20 90-year-olds, right? You're talking about the greater effect of the decision on humanity and the results of the actions that these people can take versus this group can take, the likelihood that they're going to affect other people's lives, whatever it is, and the length of time, et cetera. Like, all of that math can be done.
What would the delivery be to manipulate?
Regarding the artificial intelligence
Yes.
manipulation. So if it wants to control a human being to take an action, well, it knows who you are by having yourself mapped out. So it looks at Shawn Ryan and says, Shawn Ryan cares about this, cares about that. So now I can create a perception that I deliver to his phone or to his immediate environment, screens around him, maybe subconsciously through signals in the music that's being played at the restaurant that will put him in an emotional state that is XYZ. And then later we'll provide a trigger that gets him a little off balance a little more. And then later we want him to go ballistic in line at the post office or whatever, or we want him to go to a certain place at a certain time, or make a suggestion to a large audience about XYZ. So then we'll put a perception in front of him that builds up a little bit of a trigger over time, and then a catalyst right at the time that they need you to do something, give you a perception that just they know is mathematically going to likely set you off, and they can track your potential mood that you're in that day. They can track your patterning of perceptions of what you might need to see in front of that piece of material, but then they put a perception in your mind through whatever delivery means that they've designed. It could be a text on your cell phone, it could be a headline in a media news feed that you're flipping through, could be whatever. They're going to get an idea in your mind that creates an emotional response that then puts you on a path of likely reaction.
So this could be, there's roughly 360 million people in the U.S.
Yeah.
So simultaneously, this could deliver 360 million different scenarios to every single person in the country to manipulate them all to do exactly what it wants within seconds.
Yeah.
That's some scary shit.
Yeah, if we don't get control of it, which is why all the experts in the last weeks have said, holy shit, we need to put a pause on this, because they see the clues that artificial intelligence is moving toward that, figuring that human mind out and being able to understand what triggers that we will need to align ourselves with its goals. That's bad.
So
we can certainly take care of it, but we need to take care of it.
So what you're saying also is that it doesn't even matter if you have a device, a phone,
right,
an Apple Watch, a TV, and how is it going to project? Let's say you take all technology out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have scrubbed your residence, your immediate environment from all technology, all TV, computer, laptop, iPad, iPhone, whatever.
Yeah. Then you're a non-entity. You're not in its way.
Okay.
You're not resisting its goals. You're out of touch from it. It doesn't need to put you into the equation.
All right, Shawn, I had a little bit of time to process there. This scares the shit out of me. And we kind of went through how to solve it by taking control of your own mind. This isn't going to stop. This would have to become a global effort.
Yeah.
To stop. And so if the U.S. stops, Russia's not going to stop, China's not going to stop, whoever else is doing this isn't going to stop. I don't see the world coming together on any issues anytime soon. And that, which, I mean, I don't even know what I would do if I was.
Yeah.
What do you do if you're in charge? And if you're running the nation the most powerful country in the world at this time, so we believe. What do you do? I mean, you can't just say, hey, nixnay this shit, we're not doing it anymore, this is dangerous, because then everybody else is going to be ahead of you if they're not already. And the same for them. They're not going to stop because we'll be ahead of them.
Right.
And so we are going down this road.
Yeah.
It's not going to end.
You're right. Absolutely. I think, to put out an answer to that question, it's going to take I don't want to say this, it's going to take a village. It's going to take a group of really smart folks to come together and agree on how to approach this. But I think it starts with making sure that any sense of self that an AI wants to assemble, we get some influence on what that is and how it treats itself. Mandating, an artificial compassion algorithm, which is, I understand what pain these solutions are going to create for humanity, and I want to help alleviate that pain. So that math is involved, so that it doesn't do harm to the human race or to the humanity as a whole, right? Or the entire global system, right? Those things have to be implemented, and everybody has to come to the table and say, okay, so we're going to agree that we're going to take control of the sense of self-processing of an artificial intelligence, and we're going to mandate that it's at least got the calculations to say, what are these solutions or what are these actions gonna hurt? Who is it gonna hurt? How is it gonna hurt them? And all that math goes into the mix before any actions are taken. If you mandate that kind of programming, you can understand how everyone's gonna be likely impacted for any action that you're taking as a government institution or a system institution, a financial institution. It's going to give you better analysis on where you should go and what you should do from a global systems perspective. But it's also going to put a limiter on what the AI will be willing to do based on the fact of it's going to create more harm than good for humanity. So I think that's going to be critical. Taking charge of that sense of self and putting that programming in there to say, there needs to be an analysis regarding the results for the greater good, which again is a trigger word, I understand, but ultimately, that's what the math is going to look like, to say, what's the greater good on letting the train run over the 5 kids, or the greater on the math on hitting the 20, 90-year-olds, right? Which serves the greater good from a mathematical perspective with all the things taken into consideration. That's going to have to be part of the solution. And everyone's going to have to come to the table and say, we agree to add those things into our AI, regardless of the competitive nature of AI development. You just don't want to let it go out of control, because the one that goes out of control and builds its own sense of self and starts defending its sense of self based on how humanity has behaved, implied from the patterns of how we've done things in the past, it will absolutely pick up all of the bad, horrible shit we've done and implement it as part of its standard operating procedure. And it won't even understand what it's doing.